Let me ask you this.
Have you ever had a nightmare?
No? Well, you might after playing Little Nightmares 2. Dare I say, the most underrated horror game of the past decade. Shut up! And let me cook. From the decrepit scenery to the downright horrifying enemies, it really makes you feel little. Well, that's because you are. In this game, you play as Mono, a little boy with a paper bag on his head, who wakes up from a, you guessed it, nightmare. He tries to find his way out of the woods, only to discover the little girl from the first game, Six. In this game, Six is your AI companion that often has a mind of her own. You can see small animations where she whispers for you to hurry up, or kicks an enemy when they're down. She's equal parts helpful, and downright annoying. It just blocks me! She keeps blocking me. I can't do anything because she keeps blocking me. Another unique part of the game is collecting hats. Man, he's just like me for real. Each of these are scattered throughout the levels and usually correspond to the environment. Is a go. Oh, it's because I'm a ball. That's funny. I'm sure this is just a cool customization mechanic and definitely not foreshadowing future events. Speaking of events, let's talk about jump scares. Most modern horror games are pretty notorious for having loud and obnoxious sound effects to catch you off guard.
Hello everybody,
This game, however, creates its tension through the atmosphere. The faint sounds of the wind and flies buzzing in the forest. The echoing thumps of the teacher's heels. And, of course, her screeching. Go, 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 go! Oh my god! The rapid clinking of plastic from the mannequins. Go, go, go! And whatever this is. On the rooftops, one of my favorite levels, those static TVs produce this really cool electronic and ethereal sound when you teleport through them. And when you're running away from enemies and the soundtrack goes, it makes me, actually that kind of goes hard. Another one of my favorite aspects of the sound design is when the player gets to wield weapons. I love how satisfying it is to smash those little porcelain pricks' heads in. And of course, what is a horror game without the visuals? I really enjoy that 2.5D art style, which is treated similarly to something like Luigi's Mansion, and of course the first game, all of which really utilize depth. For example, there are secret areas throughout the levels that sometimes are a bit off course and in the distance, although some of them I found on complete accident. What? Depth is also portrayed more subtly through some cool backgrounds. Like when you first cross a river on a raft, you're greeted by the daunting height of giant buildings curving inwards. And going further in, you see the deep blues and purples fading into the background to create that aerial perspective. It makes you wonder how the city became warped and desolate in the first place. I mean, come on, they even used it in the cover art for the game. If you look back at the very first level, there's a TV next to Mono that turns off after he wakes up. It brings up so many questions, like where was the TV that he teleported from? And what is up with people being so attracted to the static? Insert Skibbity toilet reference. Looking at the enemies, a lot of the same design principles from the first game are seen here. Like their doll-like faces, elongated limbs, and extreme proportions to make you feel like you're up against titans. And of course, it's still a puzzle game, so I should probably mention those as well. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I am a bit smooth-brained for most puzzle games. Thankfully, a lot of these tended to be either pretty straightforward, like hiding from enemies and sometimes even killing them, but some of them felt completely random. Like, seriously, what was the point of that chest room? Does anyone know? However, the biggest puzzle of all is finding out how to use these keyboard controls. I mean, I get the game's best if played on controller, but come on guys, you couldn't have made it a bit easier to control the flashlight? I can't move and point, are you serious? Okay, the one actual puzzle that had me stuck for a bit, spoilers, was the Giant 6 boss fight. It was a bit tough getting the timing right because she just bodies you before you can even swing the axe. Bro, what? But when you finally hit the music box, that feeling is so satisfying. In fact, it was a similar feeling I got to the finale of the first game, which leads me to the ending. For me, the ending to Little Nightmares 1 still has me pumping my fists into the air like I'm some weightlifter that just beat their personal best. If you haven't played it, after Six consumes the lady, she uses her newfound powers to kill those souls that have been tormenting her, and exits the maw. Very girl boss. In 2's ending, we see Mono free 6 from her Titan form as they try to escape from their collective nightmares. But 6, probably still mad that he left her to get kidnapped, drops him down into the abyss with these Meat Canyon flesh walls, while she escapes Signal Tower on her own. Overwhelmed by sadness and fear, Mono, after wearing various hats throughout the game, dons the respective hat of his own recently conquered fear and becomes the Thin Man. I find it interesting that these 2 endings directly contrast each other, even down to the complementary color choices. Thematically, 1 is a satisfying revenge against those who wronged her, and 2 is a tragic betrayal from a friend, but both result in them losing their respective humanities. Although looking at the secret ending, and yes, I spent the time looking for all the glitched souls, it's now confirmed that this is a prequel, and when you look back at the first game, there's an area in the first level with the same chair that Mono sits in, and dangling above that are those same long legs of the Thin Man. Coincidence? Perhaps. But in an interview with Tarsier Studios senior narrative designer David Mervick, man, that was a mouthful, he stated, "The Signal Tower exists because the need for escapism exists." Now, this might be reading too much into it, but it could be plausible that Mono wanted to escape this cycle of becoming the Thin Man, resulting in, well, yeah. Game theories aside, Little Nightmares 1 and 2 are both fantastic games that you should definitely check out for yourself. While both offer very similar experiences, they each have their own ways to tell interesting stories through their environment, sound design, and characters. They announced the 3rd game is in the works for next year by a different studio, Supermassive Games, who've worked on the enhanced edition of the second one and also Until Dawn. So hopefully they do the series justice and maybe we'll get some answers to important questions. Like, why are the keyboard controls in this game so bad?